Thanks for staying with Sunrise. She is a development communications specialist and intercultural communications trainer with over 14 years experience serving diverse organizations locally and internationally. She joins us to highlight the importance of communicating with clarity and her journey of developing Infinity IMC. Let's welcome Shanoy Coombs. Good morning, Shanoy.
Good morning, ladies. Thank you for having me.
So good to have you this morning.
We're happy to have you.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is development communication?
I love that when I get that question. So really, it's about how you use communication for good. So, there are different forms and people use communication commercially. In my line of business, we use it a lot for social change or social impact. So if you've ever seen a campaign, for example, encouraging people about hand washing or even stuffs related to birth control, HIV, AIDS awareness, etc., drinking clean water, encouraging children in terms of proper hygiene practices, all of those are linked to development communication. And it covers a wide range of things. It speaks to things such as helping to prevent crime, social ills, teenage pregnancy, and so much more. So pretty much it is used in communications training that you would have gotten at several different communication entities, but you're specifically applying it for social change and social impact.
So not necessarily, it's not communications necessarily for profit.
Yes, it is
change,
more for social change. And we need that balance, because if everybody coming out of university decided I want to go the commercial route, then we'd have some areas that are still left lacking.
Got it.
So my question to you is, what inspired you to pursue this line of work?
What inspired me? I think a huge part of it is my brother. I haven't told many people this. I have a brother and he had epilepsy. And so I found as a child growing up, there were lots of people who, they misunderstood him in so many ways. And I kind of found I was like his voice. I was his mouthpiece. I was always defending him. And so I think once I got the opportunity through studying a communication program, I felt I really wanted to have the opportunity to be a voice for the voiceless in a sense, and to really be involved in things that gave a voice to the more vulnerable population. So I think in some respects it started at home with my brother and trying to defend him, and then it just evolved into that. It's really something I realized I like. I like going out talking to a farmer, for example, and saying, what are the real challenges you have? And if people are really listening to you when they come and say they're going to do something to support you. So yeah.
It's like advocacy a little bit.
It is a bit of advocacy as well.
Well, you've been working with clients, you have experience for over 14 years, but now you've moved into your own business.
Yes.
Why take that move now? What is it that has changed about your professional career where that is what's the move at this time?
I think it's far less about what has changed and what has been the build-up.
Okay.
I said I have had the unique opportunity of working in just about every sector. So I worked in private sector, I did a little bit of work in the government sector, then I worked with the UN for a total of 5 years. And I think all of that culminated to say, instead of doing with this one company, I do have an opportunity to do with this multiple people, with the multiple companies. So I think that is what sort of evolved for me. And I'm someone who always loved flexibility. Before COVID happened and stuff, I loved the idea of being able, I would say I'm not a desk person.
Yeah.
So I love being out there. I love talking to people in real time and interacting and engaging. And I found by starting a company, it gave me the opportunity to do this with not just one people, one person or one entity, but multiple entities. So whether it is that there's a company that has a corporate social responsibility initiative and they want to be connecting with people on the ground and really looking at it in a way that they can have long-term impact, then I'm the person that they can come to.
Well, you mentioned that you're the person you can come to. Tell us a little bit more. You talk about corporate social initiatives. What are the specific services that you offer? Because you've given us like a synopsis of your kind of work, but if persons are looking to contact you, what are your specific resources?
So I say that at Infinity Integrated, we are a full-service communications hub. And so even though we specialize in development communications, we do lots of work with people from planning to execution. So if you just have an idea, and I'm throwing this out in case somebody just wants to take this on, you look at the street boys and you're saying they're a nuisance to society, etc. And you say, let us do an initiative to see, not just to give them some money for the day or whatever, but we can look at something to say, all right, how can we probably engage them in a skills-based program, or, can pretty much teach a man how to fish. So we do all of that. We do planning, execution, typical PR as well, marketing, content creation, so much more. It's really everything, and literally the company is called Infinity Integrated because we do take an integrated approach. We understand the importance of starting with research to ensure that you're informing what you're doing and so that you're more connected to the sort of output that you want from your audiences or the results that you really want and the difference you want to make in people's lives.
Who would you say should engage your services?
I would say really many corporates who are doing corporate social responsibility. I would say to people that's a key thing that we're focused on. NGOs as well, they're already doing the work in terms of engaging with several of the voiceless and vulnerable who we serve. But the challenge many NGOs face is that they may not have the capacity to do the communications or the marketing or the content creation, etc. And so, we're a company that they can in fact engage. We do training as well. So we have done some sort of training around media interviews. We do training around public speaking and just general communications for project managers, project teams, because there's often the misconception that once you're thrust in a leadership role, you must know how to communicate. And everybody just say, well, you'll just be a natural at it, but that's not true. And so you'll see people at the highest level in society today who would be so terrified of sitting here doing an interview or even standing in front of a podium. So full service hub, can check us out.
You're a new company, but you've been in the business for a long time. Whenever I think about communication or public relations, I think about where technology is taking how we communicate and how it constantly changes. I just want to hear your thoughts as somebody who has been in the business for a long time, but now you're doing it yourself. How do you, because as a businesswoman, you have to be thinking, how do I stay ahead of the curve? Yes. What is it that's the buzzword? What are you focusing on in order to stay ahead of the curve in the field of communication?
In the field of communication and technology, the buzzword will always be audience for me, because I say to people, don't ever get lost. Because sometimes we look at what everyone else is doing, but it's not perfect or it's not suitable for the audience we're trying to engage. So as much as all of the technological advances are there, if I'm working with rural farmers, I'm not going to be like, oh, a podcast is going to work. I have to consider, do they have access to the internet? Do they have access to the platforms where I'm doing my messages? So I think even sometimes you're caught up or you're tempted to just be leveraging technology solely and in isolation, but it has to be done as it relates to the audience that you're trying to engage in the best possible way for them to get the content. And importantly, research. I said to people, in the midst of all of this technology, what I would engage with technology is to help with research, find out from people what is the best way to communicate with you.
Wow.
And so when I say with research of farmers, for example, I use that as an example again. Maybe you think of something like a voicemail system, right? And if it is a case that there's a number that can, even if you have like a 100 or whatever, you can call a number and you can listen to tips there. That works for a farmer versus, say, sending out a SMS blast, right? So with all of the technology pulse and stuff, we have to still, traditional media persons will be happy to hear this, that you do still have quite a significant segment of your market that are still in tune with traditional media platforms. So it's about striking that balance, seeing who is in tune to what, and using the technology accordingly. But generally outside of, saying farmers, etc., podcasting is a big deal. I mean, persons have more access to mobile devices, etc., more readiness to listening to content on the go. And so podcasting is very good because you can do it in dual fold, whether you include the video component or the audio component. But it's suitable for people who probably just want to listen in versus when they're more active, they can actually sit and watch and consume that sort of content.
All right.
Very well.
Listen to, find your audience.
Yes.
And consider, make sure that you're reaching them.
And right. And she mentioned also, I was going to say identify the needs. So what it is, very good point. I also wanted to ask you, are there any targeted solutions that you have on stream now that is being offered through your company that persons can access?
Do you mean for the general public?
Yes, generally, right.
Well, in terms of targeted solutions, it depends again on what people need, because if it's the case where they need training, for example, that's something that we do. And this is a case where we're willing to come into a company or an organization and do this sort of training, or if they want to come to us, that's something that we do. But more generally, it's a lot of, I think with the service industry, it's a lot of understanding and identifying unique needs. So we find we tend to do lots of consultations with people to find out what they really want to get done. In more recent times, we have done lots more with smaller businesses. And I think now we kind of have packages, because I think small businesses all have, for the most part, the same pain points. It's about starting up, getting your name out there, connecting with the people who have the money to buy from you, because I say if you're selling and people ain't buying, you don't have a business. So, those are just some of the mixes of solutions that we have at the moment.
Where are you looking to take your business? You have the years of experience, you've just started out on your own. Say, for example, considering all the advances as well as the value of the traditional media, say in 5 years' time, where is Infinity Inc.?
All right, so the main thing for us now is regional. So that's one of the key things that we pride on being distinguished about, because several of the clients we've worked with, they do work across the Caribbean region. So it's a very interesting thing. I remember once we were on a campaign and we wanted to place ads across the Caribbean, and we had such a hard time trying to find a singular entity that would be able to do it. And then after doing all of the research, calling in Trinidad, Barbados, all over, we said, well, why not us? So now, this is a major thing that we're focused on for this year onwards, is really highlighting our regional services. So we are in fact equipped to do PR, marketing, communications, and several of our development communications approaches across the Caribbean region. So I want to continue along that trajectory, and of course our ultimate vision, you know, there's a set of visions until it scares you, is really to be recognized as a foremost communications agency that's using communication for good globally. And we're on our way. We have hosted initiatives. We did what we call a C4D and CSR activity last year, and we had speakers from Australia. This was online, by the way, so we had speakers from Australia, from the UK, from India, etc. And these were all people in different spheres who were using communication for social change, and we all came together on one platform and we spoke about how corporate and other entities can leverage communication. So it's not a stop and go, you know, it's not just you hand over something to somebody and take a picture, but something that you can say, oh, this is our legacy initiative, and we've really seen where we've had lasting impact and made a significant difference in the lives of others.
I'm excited for your prospects. Thank you so much for joining us this morning to talk a little bit about communication, but specifically development communication and all the work that you have been doing and that you plan to do in your field. All the best to Infinity Inc.
Thank you.